Did anybody hear what the Vatican is preparing guidelines for? I mean, it is really sketchy, people. The Vatican is preparing guidelines for apparitions and other supernatural phenomena. I literally can't make this shit up. Look at this. The Vatican is preparing to release a document giving guidance on how to discern supernatural phenomena. As you can see, the Holy See Press Office announced the upcoming document will be published May 17th, saying that this doctrine of faith is in the process of finalizing a new text, with clear guidelines and norms for the discernment of apparitions and other phenomena, saying that an apparition refers to an instance in which a divine entity, such as a saint, the Virgin Mary, or Christ himself, makes itself known to a person on earth. What the fuck? And the Catholic Church is supposedly urging extreme prudence before ascribing phenomena to a supernatural force, warning that being too quick to attribute divine origin to explainable occurrences can damage the faith and warp belief. What the fuck? Last month, the Vatican also released a document providing guidance on the place of human dignity in the modern age. And the document also denounced gender theory, gender transitions, and surrogate pregnancies as violating basic moral precepts. Once again, you cannot make this shit up. Does this not sound like Project Bluebeam to anybody else? And I know, oh my god, I sound like a crazy person, right? A conspiracy theorist, right? Kind of ironic how anybody's even considered a conspiracy theorist anymore. Especially when you consider the fact that it took our own government over 100 years to admit that in quotations aliens are real. Does anybody even know what extraterrestrials are? Or how many different species of them actually exist in the first place? People really need to get in touch with reality, man, because god, I don't know, man. Something about this just does not feel right. And I'm really curious as to what everybody thinks about this. I mean, is this not sketchy to anybody?
So I received this video from Kiki and many other people asking what I thought about this one. And as I always say, we have to look at everything, how they're done in their political climate and their cultural climate. In our cultural and political climate right now, we know that technology has advanced itself to the point where people can create governments and people can create holograms and make people think that they're seeing something that is not really there. That is the idea of Project Bluebeam, is to create a dangerous situation from above, whether it's Independence Day or something like that, kind of a motif in order to keep the people in fear. And I really think that the Catholic Church is just trying to get ahead of the curve, unlike they did in previous centuries, when they would take people like Galileo and Copernicus and they would say that, oh, you're practicing hypocrisy or heresy because you are saying that the earth is not the center of the universe and all these sorts of things. And instead of being on the backside of it, they're trying to get in front of it so that when people start seeing objects in the sky, start seeing holograms that are simulating aliens attacking or things of this nature, that they won't go ahead and say that, oh, it must be God. It must be God. When they do a big hologram of Jesus in the sky and people think that it's the rapture coming, oh, it must be God. It must be God. I think they're getting ahead of it by saying that, well, before you ascribe something to some divine force or entity, whether good or bad, let's recognize that there are technologies out there that can create these things, because if we jump and say that everything is of God, but it's truly technology that's producing these things, then it could damage the faith, as they say. So I think that the Catholic Church is just trying to get ahead of technology, but ahead of the mass hysteria of people, because, you know, if over the city of Atlanta, they generate a big Jesus guy in the sky, in Atlanta, he better be black, otherwise most of the people ain't gonna believe it. But if they do that, then instead of people saying, I saw Jesus, it's the end time, Jesus came back, and so on and so forth, to which there's already enough of it's the end time, that they can get ahead of it, and that they can stop the people from claiming that they have connection with the divine, whereas the Catholic Church is the one that's trying to make sure that the divine only has connection to them, and everything must be processed through them in order for it to be divine. Kind of like down in St. Pete, Florida, where the window, I saw it myself back in the day in the 90s, the way the sun hit this particular window and the way the window is made, it has the similarities to the Black Madonna portrait that they like to go worship annually. So the Catholic Church had to get there and say that, no, this is just, you know, some scientific stuff. We can explain this away. So I think that that's all that they're trying to do on that one. And then, of course, they're making their stance on gender and their stance on surrogate mothership, saying that it is all unnatural, to which, of course, it is unnatural. I mean, it's man-made technology, so it truly is unnatural. Just you can look at it from that point, since man created it and it didn't just happen through natural forces. Just look at it as unnatural, or just man is discovering how to change nature, to which is another aspect that you can look at it. But they want to go ahead and establish where they stand on it, because they are the ones who determine what the Catholic people are going to believe, and to a certain extent what the Protestants are going to believe as well. Now, whether this is a part of Project Bluebeam or they are in line with governments for Project Bluebeam, who knows? Who really knows? I just see it as them just jumping out there and trying to jump ahead of the technology instead of being left behind by technology, and making these and having to deal with people's hysteria. And I know that back in the day, a lot of the scientists, and even still today, were Christians. But that doesn't negate the fact that they made discoveries that conflict with this Bible and the Bible stories and so on and so forth. So that's all I think about that one. It's not a whole lot. It's not a whole lot to it. Just them making a political move. So y'all have a great day. And remember always, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.